live stream, certainly late night here. It's a late night live because that's just the way that I roll. And the last time I did a live stream at this hour, it got very interesting very quickly. So I'm just here testing whether that happens again. But I'll do my usual until anyone turns up. I'll start and be almost serious. I'll be almost serious. I'm going to talk about something that's come up at the Jedi Training Academy. One of the things that we've been working on. A lot of the Jedis there, we go to the same thing. It can often start at a place of people have caused this or this situation has caused this and blah, blah, blah. But what I've found as a Jedi, what you find is that the only people can only abuse you with your permission. People can only drain your energy with your permission. People can only do anything to you with your permission. Now, that doesn't detract from the fact that people can do really shit stuff to you. That is going to happen, my Jedi friends. But what you decide to take on board from that, that's entirely up to you. It is entirely up to you. So let's take some really dodgy examples or bad examples, like family members. Let's say that you're a parent, for example, has been ever critical, and suddenly you reach a point in your life where you see it for what it is. You know, a lot of negativity is completely unnecessary, but it can only be, it can only get you if you allow it to get you. It can only affect your energy if you allow it to affect your energy. Part of working with energy is having total control of your energy anytime, any place, anywhere. And actually deciding, especially for sensitive people, that no, I'm not accepting this today. I am not going to allow you to steal my energy. I am going to stay zen, even when you give me your best shot. So let's take this to the next level, because I talk a lot on the channel about people dealing with narcissism and stuff like that. And narcissists, they love to take control. They love to get one over on you. They love to put you down. They love to put you down, the narcissists. Now, the worst thing you can do to a narcissist from their perspective is to not seem to be affected by their nonsense. And worse still, if you smile back at them. If a narcissist gives you their best shot and you're able to smile and give it back, then it's the worst thing that you could do from the narcissist perspective. So I've got Grand Platinum Fishing. Sup? Well, sup, Grand Platinum Fishing. Thank you for getting in there with the first comment. Kudos to you, my Jedi friend. And I've got Talisha. Talisha Lancaster says hi. Hi to you, Talisha. Thank you for joining in. I've got Altug, one of my Jedi friends, has jumped on the thread. Hello, Adam and everyone. Well, great to see you here, my Jedi friend. That is what it's all about. We are rolling with the flow tonight. I just thought I'd throw something up there. I'd give it a go, and I'd stream a little bit later than I usually did, because the last time I did one that was later, I got all sorts of interesting comments and people join in, and not my usual demographic. So it encouraged me to be a bit more flexible with the stuff that I talk about and the way that I go. So it'll be quite interesting to see where this goes and how it flows, my Jedi friends. So for those of you that are new to me and new to the stream, I can talk all day, every day, about all sorts of stuff. But on these streams, what I tend to do is just go with the flow of where the energy and the comments take me. So if you've got anything you want to share, anything you want to say, if you want to throw in a few troll comments, then go for it, my Jedi friends. You are very welcome to join the thread and add in a perspective or send this live stream in whatever direction you like. And for me, I have no attachment to what direction we go in. I just decided I was going to let the camera roll and have a little bit of fun, possibly until the battery on my phone runs out. I saw it's down to about 19%. So that will probably cut down the my capacity to stay live for too long, and we'll just see where it goes. But what I was talking about, and thank you all for joining in the comments, what I was talking about is that nobody can steal your energy without your permission. I hear a lot of people talk about things like energy vampires and that person is a drain. Well, when you work with energy, when you truly get to work with energy, you understand what it is. You understand that no one can do that once you learn how to set your energy field. So Altug says, can you suggest a way to find courage deeper into my own shadow and how not to lose my sanity? Well, in fairness, Altug, when we talk about shadows, let's talk about this. And you talk about courage to go into the shadow. This is my slant on the shadow work, especially for sensitive people, for empaths. That the shadow, your shadow, is the part of you that hates getting screwed over. So let's just talk that. That's the part of you that gets really upset when people take the piss out of you, when they take the piss out of you. So your shadow is the one going, you shouldn't be putting up with that. You shouldn't be putting up with this nonsense behavior. And so the courage of going deeper into your shadow, it all usually comes down to setting boundaries. So you set boundaries. I've got Zap Dam here as well. Hi. Well, hi to you, Zap Dam. We're just talking about shadow work and boundaries at the moment. But thank you for jumping in the comments. So what it is, what your shadow is it's the part of you that when you think you've done something nice, when you've been a healer, a mediator, when you've put up with bad behavior. Oh, Karen's here. Hello, Karen. Karen Goers. Hi. Hi to you as well. So we're talking about shadow work, and what shadow work is for me is to listen to the part of you that hates getting screwed over. So this is the part of you where people will take the piss. They'll take the piss out of you, and you allow that to happen for the greater good. You think you're rising above it. You think you're being the better person. You think you're walking away. And on a one-off, that's okay. But these are the frequent offenders. There'll certainly be usually family members or people at work that will get away with it once. And because they got away with it, they'll do it again and again and again and again. And the shadow part of you is the bit going, this isn't right. I don't like this. I should have said this. It's the part of you that goes home and says, thinks of all the things you could have, would have, should have said in that situation. So if you're talking about the courage to go into your shadow, I don't think that you have an issue with that, Altug, because from what we've worked through, you do confront bad behavior. You don't tolerate any nonsense. And I think that you already have that you're not giving yourself enough credit. So I have Daniel McDermott in the house. Can you mention my name? Well, I just did, Daniel. There you go. Hopefully, there you go. And I shall mention any comments that you put onto the thread. So we're going with the flow. I'm answering all questions. Altug asked me a question about finding the courage to go into your shadow. Now, a lot of you that are regulars on this channel will know that I talk about your shadow side. I talk about people that are sensitive to energy, having to deal with shadow work. And that is acknowledging the part of you that doesn't feel right. It feels off kilter. So let's talk about this. Like, we've got an emotional guidance system. So in that world, there's no such thing as a negative emotion. There's only stuff that doesn't feel good, and there's stuff that feels good. Now, if you're doing something or in a situation that feels good, that's your body telling you this is a good thing. And if anything happens to you that doesn't feel good, then that is your body saying, actually, no, I don't like this. I don't like it. We're not going to put up with this nonsense. Now, if you tolerate that situation and you do nothing about it, then that is where things start to go wrong. Because the old me, I'll give you my own case study of this. In my younger years, I used to think I was being the better person by not calling out nonsense, by not rocking the boat, by letting people that would come in with their little passive aggressive comments, just ignoring it, just getting on with it, pretending that I didn't hear it, pretending that it didn't affect me. But in my later years, I realized that sometimes that would happen, and I would go home and I would feel angry, feel upset that I'd let that person get away with it. And not only that, I worked as a nurse on the front line for many, many years, and I had to deal with a lot of terrible behavior in that setting. So you sometimes take it home and you sometimes think maybe I was too reasonable with that person. And that's where going into your darker side, they said, well, we could have maybe dealt with this a little bit differently. So Alto's back in. I found 26 fragmented characters in my shadow. and they found the collective unconscious serpent by Googling. I found Carl Jung and encountered it. The serpent creeps me. Well, there's all sorts of angles on this, Altug. There's all sorts of psychologists and all sorts of inner layers that we have to go through. In my world, the inner layers are parts of us that we've taken on board from other people. So one of the hardest things that you have to shift is your family genetic bullshit line. So bad behavior gets passed from generation to generation to generation. And stuff that you hated when you was a kid, you then become as an adult. And this happens. This happens frequently. You know, so my parents complaining about behavior that they would then pass on. They hated it, but they can't help themselves but pass it on because they've taken on board that energy. So this is just one example. There's lots of other stuff. We can get influences. We can get parts of ourselves that we may have developed through necessity in our younger years. So let's talk about that. So the body stores trauma. If there's something happens to you when you're younger that you can't handle, that you don't have the tools to handle, the body stores it. And it might sit there for years, decades, even most of your life, and be unresolved. And it manifests in other things. This is where things like insomnia come into it. Pain can manifest in your body. Stuff that's trapped and unresolved can manifest into pain and dis-ease. Dis-ease, my Jedi friends. And I separate that word for a reason, because that's exactly what it is. If we don't address the cause of our dis-ease, which is resolving all of this stuff from the past that we're storing in our body, it will manifest into something nasty. And I have to say, for legal reasons, not medical advice, folks, because the NHS and the doctors don't like that, because the drug companies pay them a lot of money to dispense drugs as a cure for every illness out there. Bit of controversy there, bit of controversy. So Altug says, so not only our bad experience, but also we get family trauma by generations. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So family generational nonsense gets passed from one generation to the next. And our parents will complain about their parents and then they'll become them. I've seen this happen in my family. Everything that my mum was traumatized about her parents and everything she accused them of, she became. She did it. And not only that, she amplified it. She somehow managed to even add an extra level. And just to add to that, for the record, she was trained in she was a trained psychiatric nurse. So not only did she not learn from her parents, she was you had all this psychobabble to justify how she was going to do terrible things and tie me in knots when I used to question things. So we have to deal with all of the family trauma, and somebody has to carry the can and somebody has to break the chain. And we are at a stage in human consciousness evolution and the planetary vibrational rise that we're in a generation of people now who are the breaker of chains, the Khaleesi for the family, the ones that have to wake up and say enough is enough. So that's my role in my family. I had to take all of this. I had to absorb it like a shock absorber, and I had to stop it in its tracks, to stop it from going any further, to recognize the pattern, to release it, and to not be that person moving forward. So there'll be a lot of people on this channel that do resonate with that it's their job. They had to do. What you effectively have to do is something that nobody in your family, all the way back as far as you can go, had the tools, the resources, the awareness, or the psychological strength to deal with themselves. So it's just a small ask for you folks, just a small ask. You've got to do what no one else could do in your family. Just a little ask for you there. So Karen says, it's been interesting to me to spend time with my old dad and brother now that we're the only ones left. We still have our reactions, but all seem to know that it is programming. Well, exactly, Karen. We're all programmed. You're not just dealing with your issues with your parents. You're dealing with their issues with their parents' issues with their parents, and it's a domino. as far back as I could track, all of the same issues were on repeat. And what happened in our family, and it happens in a lot of families, is that a mother will have a traumatic relationship with their kid, but a great relationship with their grandchild. So all sorts of jealousy and nonsense crops up because they treat their grandchild well, but they abuse their immediate kids. And so it flips a generation. You know, I had a very strong relationship with all of my grandparents, great relationship with them. But certainly the parents were more of a challenge. And ironically, that was exactly the same for my parents. They had great relationships with their grandparents. Funnily enough. Funny that, isn't it, folks? It's funny the way that it works. It's called bullshit family domino nonsense. Well, at least that's what I'm going to call it anyway. So yes, there's a domino effect. It probably goes back as far as we can trace. I don't know how many generations. But one of the things that I'm trained in is a technique called timeline therapy. And what it does, it adjusts to people's belief system. So if we've got an issue that we have to release, we ask them how many lifetimes or generations ago did it happen? And people have to answer it in accordance to their belief system. So whether you believe it's generational or whether you believe in past lives, it doesn't even matter, because it's a domino effect that you're dealing with. You're dealing with issues that they're not just your issues, they're compounded by time and by nonsense and by other people's lives. So Karen says, and my brother and I are definitely passing crap onto our kids, but trying not to. Well, becoming aware of it is the first step, Karen. I mean, everybody does it because it gets programmed into our psyche. We take on board habits, we absorb energy from our parents. It's a survival mechanism as we're kids. So let's explain this from an energy perspective. So let's get rid of all the psychobabble. Let's just talk about energy, pure energy here. So energy is like a magnetic field that we all have. As a child, you don't have the option of fight or flight. You can't do either. So your energy field is a pure absorbing cushion. So when your parents are angry, you have to take that on board. When they're happy, you take that on board. Whatever they're going through, you just have to absorb it. You can't fight and you can't flight. You're a pin cushion for all of their bullshit moods. And that all goes in before you're even consciously aware most of the time. So you're absorbing patterns from your parents from a very young age. So a lot of the time you'll be reacting in ways that you don't even understand why you're reacting that way. And that can manifest through time. It manifests, and it can take you years to unlock them. Some people can go through their whole life and it never unlocks. It just somehow becomes part of who they are. And what they do is all this terrible behavior that they've got no idea why they're doing it. They're just doing it. They're reactive. And this is the sort of stuff that we're dealing with energy. So energy works on multiple different levels. And Tug will tell you when we do the Jedi Training Academy, it goes as deep as people are ready to go, because it brings stuff up working with energy over sustained time. And when you understand the dynamics of this from an energy perspective, it changes the way that you see the world. But more importantly, what working with energy does is put you in control. It puts you in control of the vehicle. And the vehicle is your mind. And your mind is the part of you that either decides to be a victim or be an empowered, solution-focused Jedi master. And sometimes both. Because there's times in your life when you feel like a victim, and what there is a set of tools through working with energy to bounce back and be the Jedi master. It's only so long that it seems worth suffering through all of this nonsense before taking control of your own energy. So there you go. That could be a lifetime of learning. For me, 23 years of learning, of training with energy, of working with energy, working with thousands of people and realizing how it works in certain situations. And not only that it works differently with different people. So there's no one size fits all on this journey. And that's why we do energy training. That is why we do energy training, my Jedi friend. And that is where I show up. that is where I show up in people's lives. So that's hopefully answers some of that question. I mean, this really is a rabbit hole. This part of life is a rabbit hole. Dealing with family trauma. Most people will spend most of their life completely oblivious to the fact that this is the way. This is the reason why they're so messed up. It's the reason why they've got behaviors that they can't explain logically. You absorb all of this nonsense from your parents from a young age, and then you spend the rest of their life justifying it, working out, how did that happen? I don't know how that happened. It felt like that wasn't me. It wasn't me that says that. It's so out of character. You ever heard those things? That was so out of character. Yeah, because you absorb stuff in, and it's like an autopilot. For any of you that have watched the film The Manchurian Candidate, that's exactly what it's like. Trained behaviors get installed in your energy field before you're old enough to actually realize what it's all about, before you can fight or flight for yourself. And then bang, it appears. Someone will say something or do something, or a situation will happen, and bang, you're acting out of character and you've got no idea why. So Altug says, you made me awaken from the awakening and I had to throw away my belief system. Well, fair play to you, Altug. You were open-minded enough to explore something new. That's what it was. And you were ready for it. I can't make you do anything. All I am is a catalyst. I am a mirror for people that I work with. I am a person who holds the space. I'm a facilitator. It's not my job to get results for people. It's my job to light people up or not. Now, some people are ready to be lit and others aren't. So it's just as important for me within my role to not take the compliments when we get a good breakthrough, as it is to not take the any criticisms if you don't get the breakthrough. Because ultimately, either you're ready, I can open the door, I can show you the way, but only you can step through it. And that is what it's about. That's what working with energy is about. So Altug says, that's true. Nearly all people in my life mirror something within me. Well, there is a school of thought, Altug, and this is a book by Michael Talbot called The Holographic Universe, that says that the entire reality, our entire existence, is just a reflection. It's a mirror of what's going on inside us. And there's a quote, it says that we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. So we filter it through our belief system. Everything that happens filters through the belief system. And if you're unsure about how that works, just go to a football game and then come out and talk to a load of other people that watched exactly the same football game and see how vastly different the interpretations are of what happened. Any sports event, you can do that too. Any event in life. You could put 100 people in the same room watching exactly the same thing, and everyone will filter it differently. Everyone. There's no such thing as a universal experience in that setting, because our mind is a filter. We all filter the world through a different lens. We all see different things. We all focus on different things. Now, in our NLP training, I can't remember the stats, but it was actually scary. We process about 15 million bits of data every second, but we've only the capacity to process about 500 of them. Something like that. It was a very small amount of what we actually process. We're getting all of this sensory data all the time, but we can only filter through a tiny little amount. And here's just an example. Let's bring that alive to you right now. Up until this moment of watching this stream, were you aware of the feeling of your left toenail, your left big toenail? Put all of your attention on your left big toenail. Now, there it is. It's been feeling that all the time, but you've not been consciously aware of that up until this moment, because your focus hasn't been there. It's been on probably what I've been saying, or what you're actually filtering through that, or what's coming up for you. And we can move energy, we can move focus. With a facilitator, someone can guide you to look somewhere differently, to focus on somewhere different when we do this stuff. And that's where it is. That is where the bonus lies, when we actually learn to filter this stuff, when we learn that we can look in different places and we can see the world differently, even though that our default setting looks at it a certain way. So Karen says, yes, there was something else I learned, that we bring in information like a slideshow or film reel in flashes or stills. So yeah, there's lots of different interpretations for life, for how we process it, for how we deal with it in this setting, Karen. I mean, certainly when we work through stuff from people's past, it's a useful exercise to get them to dissociate from it. And when I say that, I get people to float outside of themselves and look at themselves as though they're sitting in a cinema. So they're looking at themselves from outside to see them and to reflect on their situation differently, to dissociate from the emotion of the problem. So emotion clouds judgment. There's another one. So when we have high emotion, we have low logic. And you'll know that if somebody really pisses you off and you get absolutely raging, logic's out the window. Someone triggers you and that's it. You've reached red rag to a ball time. Logic has left the building. At that point, you're in pure emotion. And humans are emotional characters. And emotion bypasses logic. There's the paradox, isn't it? Emotion bypasses logic. So you can't be both, and it's not natural to be completely logical all the time. Then you end up like Spock. You end up like a Vulcan. And speaking of which, apparently I look like Jean-Luc Picard, so I should know all about this. When we are highly emotional, we are low logic. So, and we are emotional characters. So make sense of that, my Jedi friends. You're trying to add logic to your life. That's lunacy. There is nothing more lunacy in life than trying to apply logic to it. You never do it. You're an emotional being, a being, beings from another planet, from another galaxy, my Jedi friends. You are being, human being, and that is part of being emotional. So, Altug says, tonight you tell quite interesting truths. Well, thank you, Altug. I'm doing my best. I'm flowing with the energy of this thread. And obviously you and Karen jumping in and asking the questions and guiding the conversation in this direction has been the reason why that we've gone down this path. So if it's been useful, that's great. That is great news, my Jedi friend. It is great news. So this is what it's all about. We're always unfolding. We're like an onion. You get through one layer, you think, oh yes, I've just dealt with that. And then suddenly there's more. There's more to peel away. And it gets so tiresome. Just when you thought you'd had a breakthrough, then a higher level problem appears. And suddenly all this emotion comes up. It's like a volcano. It's like, where did that come from? And you can't think your way out of it. If you're feeling absolute rage or anger or fear, then it's going to be a very special intervention that's able to talk you out of that. Very special, because you don't want to hear it when you're in a high emotional state. Logic has left the building. Logic has left the building, my Jedi friends. That's why people go around shooting each other in certain parts of the world. Like, there's no way you're going to explain it. You can't logically explain like most of this stuff, like knife crime, for example. You're not going to have a theological debate about why you stabbed someone. Be some sort of justification in your head. There might be some sort of trigger. Might be, whatever it is. But people act with emotion. And not only that, we're influenced by our environment. So if you'd been born in a different part of the world, you'd be a different person because of the different environment that you grew up in. And you only need to apply this to people that are brought up in like gang neighborhoods. There, like your logical side might say, no, I would never do that. But then it might be fight or flight. If you don't join a gang, you'll probably get stabbed. So there you go. So John is in the building. Greetings, John. Thank you for joining in the chat. Hi, Adam. Isla Vinyl is sing to your praises. Right now on her live, she's got 200k subs. Wow. I don't even know who Isla Vinyl is. So that's really interesting to me, John. Isla Vinyl. I don't know who this is. So it's really interesting that she's singing my praises because I don't even know if I've even met this woman. So that is Vinyl. She's Vinyl, Isla Vinyl. So there we go. So I will look her up, John, if Isla Vinyl is singing my praises, because I don't even know if I've ever met Isla Vinyl. Maybe she's watched a few videos of mine. I don't know. So that's really interesting to hear. And if she's got 200k subs, then it could be time for a collaboration. Could be time to reach out for a podcast for Isla. I will look her up, John. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, because I don't even know. I've got no idea why. I love anal. Is that her, John? Oh, well, fair play to you, fella. She's got plenty of subs. I bet she has. If she loves anal, she'll have plenty of subs, not just 200k by the sound of it. So cool dudes. You got me. John, you got me. I love anal. She's well up for it. Well, I'm sure she is. Fair play to you, John. And it doesn't surprise me at all that you know Isla. It's starting to all make sense now. Now, we talked about trauma that can happen. Yeah, that would definitely do it. So there you have it. There you have it. John has entered the house, and he is obviously gunning for some anal for anybody, any takers on the thread. If you've got 200k subs and your name is Isla, then John is in the house, and he loves somebody who's proper naughty. You got the wrong thread, John. I'm not sure you're going to find what you're looking for on this one, but fair play to you, fella. Fair play to you. You never know, do you? You never know. Well, that certainly took the conversation down an interesting segue that I never saw coming. Neither did Isla, by the sound of it. So, well, that's how to change the subject. That's how to change the subject. John says, "Lol." Well, cool dude. Fair play to you, John. That was definitely it was a very interesting segue that we've taken a conversation on this live. It will certainly be live for Isla. Isla live. Isla love life. Oh, that's made me cough a little bit. I'm gonna have to get the herbal tea out. Oh, has done the job. John, you've made my day. Fair play to you, fella. We like a little bit of interesting segues on these live streams, and that was definitely an interesting segue. So, and it was an excuse for me to get the herbal tea, which is, of course, the for those of you that know, I've got my green tea with jasmine. Not Isla, John. That's Jasmine. Jasmine. She's a tea lady. So there you have it. Life can throw sidewinders. 1 minute you can be sat there thinking that you're going in this direction, and then suddenly somebody will turn up and send you in a completely different direction. And isn't that life, folks? Isn't that how we roll with it? Isn't that what it's all about? So kudos to you all. It does feel like on this topic that we sort of wrapped that one up. I hope that we did. I mean, but this is a fascinating subject about dealing with the family genealogy or dealing with Isla. Either way, it can be a traumatic event. But yes, it could take a lifetime to get there. Either way, it can take you a lifetime to get to your 200 subs or to the root cause of your genetical family genealogical nonsense. And that is what a lot of people will be dealing with at this stage in the game, my Jedi friends, having to process all sorts of family nonsense. And that's just where it's at. That is where it's at. So Altug says, a lot of new ager talkers about timeline split in many YouTube channels. Do you have any idea what it is? Well, when we talk about timeline splits, Altug, I mean, people have their different slants on that. So let's look at it. Go to a pure energy thing. There's a lot of people that there's the sliding door theory that we're simultaneously living multiple different timelines. And this is something straight out of a Star Trek episode, that we make a decision that there's different timelines simultaneously going. And this is just one of many in which we're involved. So that's one belief on splitting timelines. And that's not a case that we're going into that. That's always been the case, according to that theory. So the fact that we're only just going into it, that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. I already think that multiple timelines already exist from an energy perspective. And talking about a timeline split, I'll be interested to know what they're actually saying is the timeline split and what that actually means to them. Because everyone's with things like timeline split, and let's face it, things like anything, quantum physics, energy matrices, everybody's got their own interpretation of what that means. So I don't know what it means to them or Tug, but when I hear about things like timeline split, that's not my reality. My reality is that we're in a vibrational shift. Now, how that affects timelines, well, we've got a choice. We're going to raise our vibration or we're not. So on that front, yes, we're faced with multiple different timelines right now. Every decision that you could make right now in this second could affect a different timeline. Let's take an example. Somebody pisses you off. You could go and punch them in the nose. That's one timeline. You could chill and take an empowered view of it. You could call your mate and get them to go and punch them in the nose. There's so many different things. Every single thing in your life could spin different timelines. It could spin from different possibilities of how you could react from any given situation. And on that basis, we're in sliding doors lunacy, like anything could happen. So Altug says, probably they are naming vibrational change a shift. So in my reality, the vibrational shift is when the planet raises its vibration, people have to, their bodies can't handle the vibrational shift. It causes a lot of trauma. You have to purify your body. So it can bring up illness, it can bring up disruption, it can bring up stuff that needs to be resolved. It can bring up all sorts of nonsense. Like, it doesn't seem to make sense, does it? The vibration of the planet's raising. It sounds like we should all be feeling better, but that's not how it works. Some people will choose to raise their vibration and go through this disruption and get through the other side, and others won't. And that's what we're talking about, the different timelines, possibly different choices, different segues. But the critical thing is it's time to wake up. And a lot of the time that means being traumatized into waking up, because we don't know what it's all going to, whether it's going to happen or not. So Alta said, thanks for explaining. Well, hopefully that has explained it, Altug. But the bottom line is, for me, and I can only give you my reality. I would not hopefully be arrogant enough to think that my reality is the only reality. No, it's just my slant. And not only that, I mean, I'm long enough in the tooth now to know that today's reality could be tomorrow's myth. That I'm open to change and fluid. There's a lot that I don't know. I could wake up tomorrow with a new set of awareness and completely change where I'm at today. And it's having that flexibility that will get you through any shift that needs to happen. Knowing that you don't know is a good place to start. It's when you think you know everything, that's when the problems start. That is when the problems start, my Jedi friends. And wait till the aliens start showing up. Wait till that happens. That will be interesting times for many people. So yes, we are being facilitated through a vibrational shift, and it is going to be traumatic for a lot of people, but it will be worth it once you get through the other side. But when you're caught in the middle of it, it's going to feel like your world is ending. It's going to feel like this is it. You're going to feel suicidal. You're going to think, oh God, what is happening? What is happening to me? I don't like it. I don't like it. Cut. So Arrow's in the house. Hello, Arrow. Today, I don't want to know. I'm overwhelmed. That's fair enough, Arrow. A lot of people are going to stay in that probably for most of their lives. Why would you want more things to add to what life's ever interesting timelines? And Karen has said, I love an alien friend. I'd love an alien friend. Well, you've almost definitely already got one, Karen. In fact, if you've got any pets, apparently, I found out recently that my cat is from Andromeda. She's lovely. I've got an Andromedan cat. So that was reliably read by one of my psychic friends. Now, is it potential that that could be a load of horseshit? Possibly, but I trust her, so I'm going with it. I'm going with it. I have an alien cat from Andromeda. So you probably have them. Like pets are big support, you know, that we get a lot of support from coming through the different realms. But it depends how open-minded you are. I realize that to 99% of the planet, that my slant on reality will sound like I'm absolutely lunatic. And see, I'm comfortable with that now. It's taken me a lifetime to get to that point. But from someone that grew up in a bona fide lunatic asylum, like lunacy is normal in my world. So I'm able to talk about these things without having to worry about what anyone else is going to think. And what that will mean is what's just happened is loads of people will drop off the live stream because they're like, right, that's it. He's done it. He's done it now. He's taken it too far. We're on a lunatic run. And some people will resonate, which will be roughly about 1% of the population. So there you have it. Arrow says, neat. I have a little flame point, Siamese. He's not mine. He just enjoys my company. Of course, Arrow. Animals are really sensitive to energy and they are attracted to empaths. It's just the way of the world because especially cats and dogs, they're the ultimate support animals. And empaths usually have to absorb all of this energy, all of this nonsense from everyone else. So the pets, they know they're great support. I grew up with a German Shepherd dog. It was brilliant, my best friend, because I always felt like I was the end of the line, where all of the energy got absorbed, all the nonsense in the family. You know, I had to process it alone. Then I had a dog to help me through those times, and it was brilliant with me. So Karen says, my mind was blown open 20 years ago. I'm the same as you say. So fair play, Karen. Well, you'll know it. I mean, people that are sensitive to energy are going to be attracted to my live streams. Also a few fruitcakes as well, but I embrace that energy because I attract lunatics and I have done all of my life. And I identify with being a lunatic because I realize that my reality, which could be perfectly legit, but 99% of the population, and I'm probably being conservative with that, just will never get it. They'll never understand it. They'll never believe it. And I've gone past the point of caring whether people believe it or not, because I know that there is a target audience that do believe it and do understand it and have been feeling lonely and isolated because they felt the same thing, but nobody's been talking about it and nobody's been brave enough to talk about this stuff until suddenly they find somebody that actually, yes, now finally have been validated. I'm not a lunatic. Well, you are, but not as lunatic as you maybe thought you were by comparing your reality to everyone else's. And there it is. There it is, the mic drop. Right, I'm going now. No, I'll have some tea first. So Arrow says, I was told I'm not originally from this planet and I've been here since before we had eyes. Yeah, you probably have, Arrow. I mean, look, in the reality that I play, that we are multi-dimensional beings, and I know how out there that must sound to most people. That we're here to experience separation. Because let's face it, when we're connected to our energy source, which is why we work with energy, we are connected to all that is. We are one with the universe. That's what working with energy is. Makes you one with the universe. Now that might only happen briefly, but that's what it is. Connects you, makes you all powerful for that moment while you're healing. And then you go back to being you and being caught in this separation, this reality of separation. Now, it is quite conceivable, and I've certainly been told as well, that I am an intergalactic, interplanetary shapeshifter, whatever the hell, whatever. Yeah, okay, Adam. There's your medication, son. Now go back to the secure ward. But see, I now know that there's a certain demographic I can have that conversation and it's completely normal. They'll get it. Most people won't. And this is what we're talking about now. People that are sensitive to energy get sensitive to listening to people that they should never have listened to in the first place, whose opinion shouldn't really ever have mattered. Take that in, folks. Most people have mental breakdowns through listening to the wrong people. People who are vibrating at a completely different vibration that will never understand your reality. People that are attracted to this stream, and a few lunatics on top of that as well, will understand this, will understand there's more to life than meets the eye, will understand that, most people will not understand the world like you do. So if you even attempt to explain it, their eyes are going to glaze over and they're going to call you a lunatic. And that is what people that are highly empathic have to deal with on a daily basis. And being sensitive to energy, we take that on, start to believe the voices, start to believe the bullshit, start to believe the people that have no idea what they're talking about. Let that sink in. Nutters calling you the nutter. And here's the thing, here's how you'll know that what I'm saying is true. The people that will be the most vocal in telling you how lunatic you are will accuse you of being exactly what they are. You'll be a mirror for them in that moment. You'll be a mirror. You become a mirror and they will tell you about themselves and pretend it's like an assessment of you. And as an empath, you'll see right through it. So Arrow says, that's my channel description, lol. Intergalactic Earth dweller. Well, there you go, Arrow. Welcome, my intergalactic friend. Yeah, I got told by my friend before she tragically died, who was like psychic off the scale, an international psychic phenomenon. And I was there. I knew her right from the beginning before she even had the confidence to do what she did. And I watched her go to an international speaker. She was renowned. And she sat me in front of the group once. And she introduced me as an intergalactic shapeshifter. And she'd never even had that conversation with me up until that point. And I just thought, oh, actually, yeah, that resonates. So there you have it. There you have it. So I'm falling behind with the comments here. Let's have a little look. Let's scroll down. So Altug says, Arrow, please share if you find out how to escape Earth and go to your intergalactic origin. Arrow says, I'm here for the duration. Karen says, I'm sorry for the loss of your friend. Well, don't be, Karen, because she would be the first one to tell me that she's not lost, she's still here. That every single, I did a lot of counseling with people in death. I worked a lot with people facing death, and I've helped people to resolve issues of dead loved ones. That is just a skill set that I have. And my slant on these things is that everyone that we meet in life, we never lose them. They run through us. So there's a part of them that influences us that we can tap into at any time. And when I think of my friend Sidra, I can tap into her voice. I know what she would say. Now, I might not be 100% accurate all of the time, but I can channel into her energy and I can own the part that she left behind, that she now runs through me. And this is part of working with energy. We can tap into that universal, all we are everything. We are all here. We are all one. We are all in this moment together. That everything runs through us. We are infinite. And that's working with energy. That's what it does. So thank you for your sentiments, but just know that yes, I was upset when she passed, but I also understand that she runs through me and everybody that she ever influenced in her time here, as will you, my Jedi friends, when you pass on. Never fear death. Death is just a beginning. It's just another passage. It's just another, it's like getting off one boat and into the other. That's what it is. So I do not fear death. Like, death is relative to me. It's the next stage. It's a boat. It's the trip. It's the ferryman. Call it what you will. It's a transition. So there you have it. That's my little slant on all of that. Altug says, are you also serving lifetime? Yeah, it feels like we're serving life on this domain. I don't know why I agreed to come here. I'm still trying to work it out, quite honestly, Altug. I ask quite frequently, what is my purpose for being here? Why am I here? I do not know, my Jedi friends. I think I am here to just hold space, which is part of it. I know that I'm good at holding space. So something had to happen. You know, I don't necessarily need to know why I'm here, but me being here holds the space for something bigger. I may not know what that is. I may go my whole life and not know what that is. I just have to accept that's my. So let's have a look. So Karen says, yes, I agree. I feel like my dad is still here. Well, it's the same thing for me, Karen. I was really close to my dad, but I can have a conversation with him anytime I like. I can tap into his energy on demand. On demand. It's not an issue. And I actually told my dad before I died, I said, I know you don't understand me, Dad, and I know you think I'm a little bit out there. But one day I'm going to be talking at your funeral and I will know that you are there. I always told him that. He was a non-believer. He thought I was out there. He thought I was full of it. But I knew that he knew, you know, and when I was in there, I actually had everybody laughing at his funeral. He was Irish, so I was allowed to do stuff like that. I was able to have everybody laughing at my dad's funeral. So there you go. There's something. There's a little thing that I haven't shared before. Arrow says, thank you for being Adam. Well, thank you, Arrow. Likewise, my Jedi friend. I'm here for learning and fun. Well, that is actually part of it. Like, if you embrace fun as part of the journey and use that as your guidance, if you only do things that feel light or fun or a laugh, then that is a great guide for life. Friends that make you laugh are absolute gold. All of my friends, I mean, I was laughing today. My friend's having a traumatic time. The two of us were laughing at each other, able just to turn the energy and have a laugh, even at your darkest moments. That is a gift. That is the gift that keeps giving. So Arrow says, I love my father so much. He's 87 and in better shape than I am. Well, fair play, Arrow. You're very, very lucky. My dad, he died in his late 70s, but my granddad lived to his mid 90s and he was exactly the same. The day before he died, the night before he died, he had the whole ward that he was staying in laughing their heads off. My dad was in there visiting him and the two of them were having the best laugh ever. He went to sleep that night, never woke up. What a way to go, eh? How Monty Python is that? To have a laugh with your son in the ward and have everybody else laughing one night and then just to go to sleep and never wake up. That's how I want to go, my Jedi friends. Not necessarily at 90. I'll do it at any age. It doesn't really bother me. I have no attachment to getting old at all because I've seen that the trials and tribulations that come with that. So I have no attachment to that. So Arrow says, that's how I'd want to go. Well, who wouldn't, Arrow? And part of it was that he saw the light side of life, my Irish heritage. The Irish way of being is just so different. You only have to compare an Irish wake with an English funeral. They're completely opposite. They're complete opposite. So, so yes, it's chalk and cheese, and I prefer the Irish way. So Tom Mack is in the house, and he says, "I'm ready to go." Well, I mean, are you talking about Wembley to the next life to whatever it is? Let's board the Jedi ship. Tom, you bring it on. Bring it on. Let's go on a Jedi adventure. We'll get the lightsabers and I'll go and give Yoda a call. Yes, my Jedi friend. Well, here's something funny I did. It's my friend Amanda. If you're a Star Wars fan and a Withnail and I fan, if you're not, if you've lost that reference, then you'll forget what I'm about to tell you. But someone has put in Star Wars and Withnail and I, and they've put Star Wars characters. They've edited over them with Withnail characters, and there's one where they've turned Yoda into the drug dealer, and it's about 2 minutes long, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I showed it to my friend Amanda, and she was in tears in the restaurant. I showed it, and everybody stopped eating and was staring at us. So there you go. So Alltug says, my father was an alcoholic drug user. One day he mixed and went to hug a truck, which was driving on the highway. He's still in a different potholes. Wow. And my dad liked to drink too and used to get on the bike as well. Alltug, I mean, how he didn't kill himself. Put in that shit. But yes, alcoholic fathers, they're a very interesting slant on life, aren't they? Tom Max says He-Man and Skeletor, the masters of the universe. And of course, He-Man was Prince Adam, Tom. So there you go. I might watch Art Attack with Scotch. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, Tom, and we can go to the Jedi Council on another day. That'll keep it interesting, won't it? That will keep it interesting, my Jedi friend. Yeah, that'd be the Irish way to do it, wouldn't it? Probably on the starship. That would be the most alcoholic starship. Be like, here are the Klingons. Everybody would start cracking up. And the next thing they're being invaded, killing all their mates, probably still laughing. Telling jokes like as we're being boarded by the aliens. Well, there you go. Could be fun. Tom Max says, all aboard. All aboard. Yeah, you wouldn't want to be on my starship when I've had a drink or two. We probably wouldn't get very far. Or maybe we would get super far, but we'd no idea where we were. That'd probably be more of it. We'll stick it in hyperdrive. What does this button do? Have you ever wondered how they go into hyperdrive and they manage to miss all the planets that are there? I mean, how does that even work? And if you press the fast forward, it's a bit like going down the motorway, wouldn't it? Guns blazing. Probably hit a tree or something. You've got to have hit a planet or something if you're going into hyperdrive. But maybe I'm over analyzing this. Maybe you go into a different time vortex. Who knows? Tom says, ha. Indeed, Tom, indeed. We never know where we're going to end up on these streams, do we? And look where we've ended up tonight. My word. Who would have believed it from the standing start that we were going to end up here? Yes, it has been quite a ride. It has been like pressing the hyperdrive button in the starship to end up at this point from where we started. So yes, it has been quite fun, my Jedi friends. It has indeed. I also see we're coming up to the hour mark. So I'm going to sign off in a few minutes because I found that that's probably long enough. That's probably long enough for anybody to have to watch. So if anyone's got any closing statements or things they want to share or random comments or lunatic lyrics, then by all means throw them on. Yeah, as I say, I'll probably wrap it up in a couple of minutes. Arrow says, deck the holodeck with boughs of holly. Absolutely. And Tom says, take it easy, mate. Well, you take it easy too, Tom. I don't have a scotch with me, but I do have a jasmine herbal tea, so I'll drink to that. And Altug says, "Good night, everyone. Sweet dreams." Well, thank you, Altug, my Jedi friend. Thanks for joining us tonight, and thanks for your always interesting questions and slants on life. They have definitely sent things in an interesting direction tonight. And Tom says, lightweight. I am lightweight, Tom. I'll tell you, one of these days, maybe I'll get a something alcoholic and do an alcoholic live and see where it leads. That could be quite interesting, won't it? Well, if there's enough donations come in, folks, then I'll do alcoholic live. But I'm not about to blow up my reputation unless it's worth it. So, you know, you'll have to contribute to the alcohol fee there and send in a few donations, and I'll have a drink with you. How's that? There you go. There's a deal. And Arrow says, "I didn't know you were live. Such a pleasant stay." Thank you. Well, I aim to please my Jedi friends, you know, and tonight has been fun. It's been pretty it's actually been quite interesting today, hasn't it? This whole live stream, it's been really, really heavy duty. We've really covered some heavy duty stuff tonight, and we've also gone right to the light side as well. So there you go. And Arrow says, "Drunk streaming sounds lit." Well, apparently, and this is back in the day, I used to go out drinking in my nursing days. And the thing I used to get all the time was people saying, "You need to get drunk more often." Apparently, I was a bit like Jim Carrey on The Mask. I used to go completely wild when I'd had a few drinks in me, because I was pretty up for it, my Jedi friends. So there you go. I knew how to turn a party on its head. Back in the day, yes, I did. My nights out were legendary. Legendary. So in the studio with Lady Love has come on and said, "Hello, love." Well, hello in the studio with Lady Love. Fancy you popping up at the end of my live stream. It feels like I'm signing off prematurely now, but there you have it. Thank you for joining me. But yes, I'm about to curtail this live because I'm now over the hour mark, and what I found is statistically that no one's really going to watch it beyond here. It's too long. I can ramble for too long, and there's been a lot of interesting segues on this conversation so far. But please do subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and you can join me for another one, my dear. It will be great to have you all on board again, my Jedi friends, for another time, for another channel, for another star system potentially, or even another lifetime. Who knows when we will reconnect? We will connect when the time is right. And Arrow says, "Thanks for having us." It's been an absolute pleasure, Arrow, my Jedi friend. Thank you for joining the live. Thank you all for the many comments that have come in the studio with Lady Love says, "Can't wait," and a little love heart. Well, thank you, my Jedi friend, and a love heart to you. You'll be very welcome back on the next live, which I don't know because I tend just to wing it. I don't plan these things. I'm very spontaneous in the way that these pop up. And what I talk about, well, what I talk about tends to be whatever comments come in, and random shares from my Jedi friends come in. And there's been some very interesting ones tonight. We've had a few interesting segues, haven't we, my Jedi friends? So thank you for contributing to that. Thank you for the fun. Thank you for everybody new that's come on, and all of my other Jedi friends who have rejoined me on this chat today. So I'm getting used to these live verticals now. I mean, they certainly don't get the backgrounds that you'd want. And certainly this time of night, they can get very interesting. They can get very interesting indeed. But I think that is long enough for one stream, my Jedi friends. And Arrow says, "Ciao, darlings." Well, ciao, darling to you, Arrow. You enjoy your evening, your morning, your afternoon, wherever in the world you happen to be. And I shall catch you all on the next live, which I've got no idea when it will be, whenever I can be bothered. So there. Yes, and good night from me.